What is your Tinder horror story? A little backstory. A few years ago, I was dating this girl, and her father really hated me, which was a bit odd, as most parents love me, or at least lie about it real well. He was just a huge, and I always called him on his. Anyways, her parents got divorced. We broke up a few months later, etc., etc. Fast forward to around a year later. Me and girl from Tinder were dating for a few months and things were starting to get serious. We're at the point where she wants me to meet her family. Mother, stepfather, little sister. Why not? I have no problems meeting them. Let's do it, I said. She told me how excited her stepdad was to meet me, as it turns out we both happen to be Kansas City Chiefs fans. Well, me if it was the same father of my ex-girlfriend. So I realize I should have told you all what happened next, my apologies. After opening the door and seeing him, it was as awkward as it could have been. However, being the guy he is, he made it very clear to everyone how we knew each other and our relationship status. He even threw out of me before he left the house a few minutes later. But he did come back for dinner with a case of beer, apologized for being and wanted to start fresh, put the past where it belongs. That lasted a good 20 minutes, as we all then decided to play Scrabble. He tried playing the word chafe, which I should have let slide, but it was on a triple word score combined with another word, which would have gave him like 35 points. So yeah, I sort of reignited the fire that night. The rest of the time me and her were dating wasn't terrible, since at least we both made it a well-known fact that we just didn't get along. Coming to that realization definitely helped. We had our good days and our days, but it was what it was. Me and her never lasted that long anyways. My buddy isn't the smartest man. He picked a chick up and drove to a motel. They were walking into the room and she says, "Oh, I forgot my purse. In the car, do you mind if I go grab it?" He says, "Yeah, that's fine," and tosses her the keys. 5 minutes later, he walks outside wondering where she is and his car is gone. Edit for clarification. Yes, he got his car back. I think the police found it about a week later. I don't think she was ever caught though. If you're in Baltimore swipping, don't let her near your keys. I once was talking to this girl on Tinder while I was on vacation. Just looking for someone to chill on the beach with and make the vacation a little better. I mentioned that I was going parasailing that day and she wanted to come watch. We met up for coffee beforehand and chatted a bit, then headed out to the dock. I left my wallet and phone in the car, but without thinking I tossed my keys in her purse when I went out and she sat on the dock to watch. As soon as the boat took off, I realized what I did and couldn't even really enjoy the parasailing fully. We finally got back about an hour later and she was gone. Turns out she really couldn't see that much from the dock, and it was pretty crowded, so she walked up to get a drink at the coffee shop we were at before and wait. Everything turned out for the best, and we actually had a great couple days, but the whole walk down the dock I couldn't help but think about what an idiot I am. Buddy of mine hit it off with this girl, and after a few days, she invited him over to a house party. Sure, he says, what could go wrong? He shows up and is introduced to a few of her friends, all guys. As the night carries on, more and more guys show up and very few girls are actually at the party. After they start talking about how they all know this girl, they find out that she invited them all from Tinder. Every guy was there not to up, but to populate this chick's birthday party. Edit. Autocorrects from phone. Tinder date with a famous chef where I was taken to a dive bar, where he promptly started talking about how famous he was. We drank and watched sports. He proceeded to tell me you're cute. And this eventually went to I'm going to make you bleed. He then invited one of his friends to come along. I went outside and he came up to kiss me. I was drunk, so I kissed back. Eventually he proceeded to tell me how he was being charged with battering his ex-girlfriend, but he totally didn't do it. Eventually, when it came time to pay the bill, he lost his wallet. Of course, I get stuck with it. I'll pay you back. Needless to say, I never got a payment. Then he leaned up against me. I thought he was trying to kiss me again, but I looked down and he was peeing on me. In the street. Peeing on me. I swiftly, being too inebriated to drive, went and got myself a hotel room and a hot shower. Never again. I went on a date with a guy who seemed like he was cute. We got along, and he rolled in the same circles with me. Listed himself as being tall, which I like, and so we made a date to meet up at the bar down the street. I got all dolled up and was making my way there. He was a nice guy. I get there and it's packed. It's a night with music. I walk in, and there is a tiny bald guy dressed completely in khaki, like a crocodile hunter, sitting all alone waiting for me in the front row of tables. He sees me and stands up waving. I go over and he's short. I mean really short. And he's shaking from nerves. The people at the next table are staring, and I find out later it's because he's told everyone that he's been telling everyone how he's on a date. Okay, so we talk, I order a beer, and he's talking about the things he does, what he does for a living. He then proceeds to tell me about his ex-fiancée and how she broke up with him a month ago. I was his first date after a 7-year relationship. He then proceeds to tell me about how she was 24 years old, and he's about 38 at this point. I was completely creeped out. The table next door could tell and were helping me along. So it's a little loud, and then he shouts in my ear. Just as he does this, the band stops playing, so that everyone in the bar can hear him yell. So what are your fetishes? I get another beer. To which he promptly replies, we are only having 2 beers. I paid for them when I went to the washroom. That's the maximum that I allow on a first date. Okay, I have my 2 beers, which I ordered extra strong to get the best bang for my buck on this disaster. And he insists on walking me home. My friends knew who he was, etc., so I said fine. He proceeds to spend the walk, convincing me, a 5'9" Amazon woman, about how dominant he is and how he rolls in the kinky community, like he's begging me to sleep with him. I am really over it at this point. I get home and say, okay, this is my place. Thanks for a good evening. And he says, would it be awkward if I asked to kiss you? And then proceeds to plant the most awkward kiss ever on my mouth. I go inside and then give texts about how sad his travels home were. I sent him a text saying I don't think I am the right girl for you. You need to take some time and heal from your breakup. To which he sends one back saying, do you know of any girls who you could set me up with? Ugh. Started speaking to this guy on Tinder a few months ago. He seemed alright, but not my normal type. Regardless, we started speaking for a couple of days. I didn't realize how stupid I was until now, but I mentioned where I worked. The night I mentioned my workplace, I saw a guy walk past that looked a lot like him. I hadn't met him in person, so I wasn't 100%. I forgot about it, and a couple of days later, it was quiet in work but my phone battery was low. I said I'd speak to him later before my phone died. Quentin coming in 10 minutes later with an iPhone charger. Yes, this might have been a nice gesture if you know. I'd actually met him face to face before. This was really weird because he said he lived the other side of the city from where I work. I wanted to cut ties straight away, but I thought I'd return the charger after I finished work. He said he would be in a bar around the corner. So when I finished, I met up with him, gave him his charger, and made some excuse to go home. To my horror, I saw on his Instagram that he'd taken a smiling selfie earlier in the day with the caption, I'm now a taken man. I'd seen him like not even twice. To make it even scarier, for a good few weeks, every time I'd finish work, I would see him casually walking past on his own, exactly at the time I finished. Really creeped me out for a while. Showed up to the restaurant, waited about 30 minutes, ordered myself some food, and was about to leave when he texted me. There's a liquor store across the street from the restaurant. Can you pick me up 2 6-packs? I told him I wouldn't. He says he's decided to play frisbee with his dog instead. Deleted app, went to liquor store, picked up wine, and went home. He texted me for a month or so after to tell me he's just bought tickets to see me dance. I'm a retired ballerina. Haven't been in anything for a few years. Then he texts me an hour after and tells me how great I was on stage. I never responded. Dating is too confusing. I'm all done.